points, but in the meantime, I think it's good to get started. I want to welcome you to the afternoon session. I want to thank you for being with us for an amazing symposium, and I leave the floor to the Vice Dean and my dear colleague, Dr. Muhammad, to lead on the next session. Please go ahead.
You're on mute, Dr. Muhammad.
I'm really delighted to welcome you all again. Thank you very much for the wonderful session this morning. It was really very, marvelous, inspiring, with many thoughts that we can build on and really discuss in our session today. And we have on the stage for the this workshop, we have His Excellency Mr. SAEED GHANIM ALSUWAIDI. He is with us today. He is the CEO and the founder of Innovation Box. Innovation Box is a digital company, is a leader in the digital solutions. We have also His Excellency Mr. Jihad Tayyara, the CEO of Evotech. Evotech also is a leading company in the digital solutions. And we have Her Excellency Dr. Mona El Ali, manager and in Badiri Education and Development Academy. And, this academy is a leader in women empowerment and leadership. And today also, we had a call from Mr. Muhammad Hilal. He cannot be with us today for an urgent, situation. So he will be with us, inshallah, next time. So today we have our colleagues as well, Dr. Syed Tibo. And Dr. Syed Tibo has, a PhD from George Washington, USA. And he is, associate professor in innovation and management. And we have our, colleague as well, Dr. Muhammad Salama. Muhammad Salama will be, helping me in co-moderating this, session today. And he has a lot of experience as, a director of relationship and the global program director in the, Edinburgh School of Business, and also at Heriot-Watt School of Business, in Dubai. So we shall start really very, very soon now, because we have a lot of questions, we have a lot of interventions to ask and also to, explore. The issue is related to digital transformation. And we believe that it's really a very important, trend in business nowadays. However, the about maybe 10% of people CEOs are really ready. However, and 90% are not ready. Some of them say it's really a necessity. Some of them say it's really an option. However, when we track back the digital transformation initiatives, we found that about 80% failure. Okay, some of them say it's a digital issue, a technical issue, and while others may say it's a leadership issue. So we really don't know. We really need to explore more on this, and with the help of our panelists today. So the floor is yours, Dr. Salama, to start hitting these very important questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gamal, and I'm really delighted to be in the company of such a wonderful team. So let's start and kick it off. And may I, at the beginning, I would just ask I mean, we have wonderful attendance. There were like 750 or so in the morning. Perhaps after the break, we lost few of them, but we're still over 500. Fantastic. So I would like really to ask people to type in their questions. Feel free to type your questions in the chat box, whether in Arabic or in English, and so that it will help us to try to answer all the questions and manage things within the allowed time. So let's kick off and say that every day we hear about digital transformation, and it seems it is an imperative paradigm shift, or is it rather a fashion that will just head to demise one day? So my composite question to our great panelists here, digitalization is actually changing the way we manage our business and perhaps our lives. Do we need to redefine our business models to be digitally empowered? And in this context, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when we say digital leader? I leave this between our panelists, and so please feel free to start from whichever angle you prefer.
So maybe we start with
Yes,
Shihad. Yes, please go ahead, Shihad.
Yeah, will you please mute your microphones, all the
Yeah,
panelists, please?
This is the most used sentence in 2020. I hope we change it in 2021. You know, please unmute yourself on the call. We've used this a lot. Thank you very much for hosting us in this panel. It's really refreshing and rewarding to be with such an academic, you know, of more than 500, you know, from the academia. I'm really excited about this panel today. So about the digital transformation. So there are two parts on the discussion. First, what first come to mind when you said digital transformation? There is reality and there is what really needs to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of us have seen that digital, or a lot of CEOs, we meet a lot of you know, CEOs, digital leaders and transformation leaders. And the main challenge that I see is that automatically we think Teams and Zoom, okay? If we tick that box of installing Zoom in the organization and installing Teams, and we don't use all the functionality, we think that we've done 50% of the digital transformation, and that's really extremely alarming, I would say. That's a very important tool to be used in a lot of the organization, from universities to companies to large organizations. However, there is more to this that needs to be done, and especially in organization. So so people are trying and now want to consume the services differently. Organizations want to consume services differently. Governments are looking even to consume their services differently. When we're looking at a paradigm shift on how we will be interacting with each other on the longer term. The organization that will not adopt and the organization that will not change quickly their business model will not survive in the new economy. We've seen this a lot. We've seen a lot of smaller organizations at this stage, because usually they are the ones that are restricted on the capital, having challenges. We've seen a lot of companies closing, but we've seen as well on the brighter side, a lot of organizations changing their business model and adapting to the new reality, adapting to the changes and offering their services differently.
If I may follow this with what comes to your mind when we say a digital leader within the title of our symposium today, to how this will change and impose or impact leadership?
A digital leader is an individual that accepts change, is one that adopts changes in technology and utilizes technology to transform their business. But a digital leader is also somebody who's willing to embrace those changes, and mainly not only looking inward, looking outside, looking at their customers and evaluating what are his choices in offering those digital tools for their customers. And this is really what matters. And this is why I'm re-insisting on the fact that digital transformation is not using video calls and voice calls, is how you can serve your customer using technology, deploying technology. So technology is a mean to an end, is not really the end purpose.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jihad. And we would like Mr. SAEED GHANIM ALSUWAIDI to comment on the same question, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad, Professor Dima, Salama, for being participated today. Well, in digital transformation, that's always we have to look into the two segments, the requirement of or the need of the people, where we need to make their life more simple, more easy. We have to study their requirement at the way where we can reach them. The digital transformation going to help them to make their life easy, or it will make it more difficult and more complicated. We see that so many digital leadership where they have very difficult to convince them that the digital technology where it has been reached nowadays in a small tablet, which is a mobile, where we reach them, do that help them, do that makes their life easy. Yes, we believe so many so many technologies has makes our life easy, and so many technologies has make our life so complicated. In this cases that how we are up to date in technology. Some of them maybe a very known example of Nokia, when was all the technologies has been changed, where they are not changing their adapting their technology, and they became behind. So are we ready to update our technology? Are we ready to enhance and being updated and look after the digital in our life, in business or in a government? There is so many technologies has been adapted to the services they have given. But yes, we did not reach in some how 100% where we see that the technology has helped us, and maybe some technology is still making our life, I don't want to say miserable, but difficult, where we are not utilizing them on a right way. There is, I can say, maybe a part is related to the person who's receiving the services. Is he caliber or capable to use that technology to help him where he can? There are so many people, sorry to say, uneducated, maybe due to many reasons, where he don't like the technology. So he will let someone to help him to use the technology. But at the end, yes, we are going very fast, where we need a digital to help our life in terms of teaching. As a student nowadays, they are getting their learning online, or we are talking now in this panel about the technology. So yes, we have to do in a way. I found that sometimes the leadership has the reason where he's not adopting the technology in his organization. Technology issues, yes, there is sometimes technology issues where we found sometimes our client, for example, he don't have an experience what technology he need to adapt it in his organization. So that sometimes we give him our experience, but at the end, when he bring an expert, we found that it is not as per his need. So the digital transformations, yes, we have to be in a way organizing our life and find the right technology to the right time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our great panelists and great speakers. And I want to link this because actually what we are hearing is very interesting about the role of leaders as champions of change towards the digital. And I really liked very much what has been stated about not limiting the digital transformation to just tools, and the digital transformation aims to make lives better and make business or services easier. And this will bring me to the UAE government. As we know, the UAE government has been at the front, at the forefront actually, with respect to embracing happiness. And when we talk about happiness, it's actually by making life easier, by making services better, by embracing higher levels of customer satisfaction. And this all embraces the leadership, but also the digital side. Can we ask our panelists to reflect on how this digital leadership and the digital transformation has been coping with the impact of COVID, and particularly related to the issues of mental health, both at the workplace and also for customers amid the pandemic or the COVID? For your views on this, please, and can we start with Mr. Alsuwaidi this time? And
well, I believe, I mean, in terms of the government, which they are targeting in making the life so happiness, there is a certain of, I mean, change which they are working on. But I believe in COVID as speed up the technology, speed up that which maybe targeted was to digital transformation within 2 years or 5 years. It's been, honestly, it's been in 1 year, we have seen so many things, so many changes has been life due to COVID, which is related to health issues. Maybe an example of Al Hassan app, which was not being there, but in COVID has been developed, and I believe millions has using the app nowadays. So many things which are related to satisfaction of the government, which they are working to enhance it. It is not an easy, which you develop something and you did not put it in a test for a particular time to see the reaction of the app. So if something developed in a very short time, and then there is millions using that apps, crash and so many things behind that, it is not an easy matter, which the government, I do really appreciate the effort they are working behind that. As I said from the beginning, that leader vision or leader satisfaction, that it does not come unless there is a support to all aspects. In UAE, alhamdulillah, we have given so many open platform to work freely, where we can bring new technologies, the platform, the infrastructure which is available, that help us really to adapt the technology in this region. So many platform in this in UAE has been well known, millions has been sold out, which is really we can say that the infrastructure helped them to bring that technology out. Yes, the government, I believe, due to COVID, they will be doing an amazing job, which I believe in this years we can see so many technologies, so many things has been gone. I'm talking about my technology. I'm talking about, even though as a tenant, which is in real estate, today's all the contract between tenant and landlord has been transported digitally. So many things which help the people staying more satisfied, focusing in their business. Previously, you have to visit so many departments. Unfortunately, if I am an employee, I have to leave my job, do my work outside and come back. But today's, alhamdulillah, it reduced that due to the digital transformation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alsuwaidi. It's really appreciated. And before we go to the academic side with Dr. Syed, can we hear something from Mr. Jihad? And particularly, how do you see this, the impact of COVID and the digital transformation on the employees? We hear a lot about the levels of stress, having to be sitting in front of the screen 24/7, the expectations of customers, the expectations of employers. So what would you say about that, please?
Yeah, on that point specifically, I'm guilty. I like face-to-face. I like old school personal interaction. I just love this. So I always say this, you know, we're human beings, even though we're deploying all this technology, if whether it's in 6 months or in 5 years, I hope it's faster. We will go back to interacting in person, no matter what happens. I really believe in this. I'm a firm believer that human beings will overcome this and come back to the face-to-face. The technology, as I said, will not affect the way we deal with each other. It will affect the way we offer the business, we offer the services, and that's really the differentiator. A lot of the people are focusing on the fact that we will not travel anymore, we will not have meeting. No, we will come back. But the way we offer the business, the way we offer our services, the way we present our services will be in a different fashion. Let me go back to the readiness in the UAE, which is really a very critical and important factor. And alhamdulillah, we saw the impact on the pandemic from food security, from infrastructure, from the service we were getting. We were probably one of the least countries affected in the whole world. Seriously, it's really phenomenal. So you start by the infrastructure, whether the technical or the logistical infrastructure, it was all covered. From a technology perspective, more so because this is my domain. So from 5G, from the fastest broadband in the region, from Etisalat having, I think, the fastest broadband or 5G in the world, from all that capability, from all the cloud services, the data center capacity available there, us being on the strategic importance from AWS, from Microsoft, from all those big players being hosted and available here in the region, that really helped us a lot. That's the infrastructure there. Then you move to all the government initiatives and the government programs that were there and still are there and keep changing and evolving with the transformation. So we moved from the e-government concept to the online to, now we have the target, and in different Emirates or at the federal. So in Dubai specifically, we have a target of becoming paperless by the end of this year. In Sharjah, we have a lot of smart initiative, and more so a lot of the work we're doing with the Sharjah city municipality, transforming all their services online. Imagine if they did not have those online services and the pandemic had hit, it was really gonna be very difficult and hard. So now we were all staying at home, and we all use this term, business as usual. We're continuing our business because we had the broadband, because we had the connectivity, because we had the infrastructure, and because the legislation and the mindset of the leadership were there to quickly shift and adopt to the changes. That's really phenomenal. And Dr. Muhammad started by saying why change transformation fails. I'd like to make a very important point. Transformation fails not because of the technology. It changes in our mind, and changes because we are reluctant to change. And human beings are always reluctant not to change, to being changed. So since this is available from within the system, it really helped us. And we saw all the schools, we saw all the government organizations, we saw even hospital and clinic adopting remote patient visits. So it was really phenomenal. So this is at the and finally at the UAE level, at the federal level, all those initiatives from customer happiness. See the Prime Minister Office driving all those initiatives, with the TRA leading on the e-government side and driving the happiness index, monitoring this. This is really phenomenal. So it was really, we were really, let me put it this way, ready for the pandemic.
Yeah. So it's a top-down approach, leadership by example from the highest levels in the country, and driving this through. Before passing on to my colleague and dear friend, Professor Jamal, I just want to ask Dr. Sayed actually a question to, obviously feel free to reflect on all what has been said, but particularly an academic and interesting academic question that I would like to pose to you, and it's from our audience here, from Dr. Herzallah. He says, is there a structured methodology to adapt to change and deal with resistance? We know in the literature there is something called adaptive leadership school of thought. It builds on cultural intelligence, and we heard about the impact and importance of culture from our guests in the morning during the morning session. So what would you like to say about this, Dr. Syed?
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And I just would like to highlight a few points also from the academic perspective, as well as, other thoughts. From the academic point of view, like as soon as the corona started, like within the 1 to 2 months, there were hundreds of thousands of papers already published. Like the academia quickly reacted on this. And we believe that there was a significant impact on, the people, the way the people work, the processes in the organizations, the structure. It impacted every aspect, because it has impact at the macro level and also at the micro level in the organizations. And I believe I would highlight and draw your attention, all of you, to, I think there's a time to start thinking about the fifth industrial revolution at this time. Industry revolution, Industry 5.0. Like we discuss about Industry 4.0, which is on digitalization, how to digitalize. But we need to move on from 2020 onwards. There is a focus on Industry 5.0. And what is the difference between Industry 5.0 and 4.0 is that Industry 5.0 will actually put the people back into the production floor, means the people working with robots, right? So the creativity and innovation is actually done by the humans, and the repetitive works will be done by the robots. So this is a trend which has a significant impact, and it will determine the future, how the organizations will react. So coming back to your question in terms of from the academic point of view, is there any leadership style or an approach to manage change? I think adaptive leadership is one aspect. There are many other leadership styles. There is emergent leadership style, distributive leadership style, and relationship-based leadership style. So there is no one silver bullet for this. I mean, you have an emergent style, like which we didn't know before how we react during Corona, right? So now the COVID has changed the way we lead, changed the way we manage people. So I think there is an emergent approach in terms of when we look at the agility, there's an emergent approach towards managing change and your leadership style. So there is no one set of rules that you follow. It's all flexible, adaptive, and agile. This is what I would say.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Syed. I have one more question really for you, Dr. Syed, and the second question will be for Dr. Mona Al-Ali with us. So, Dr. Syed, I will quote that some, sayings in the business world, either to be a digital predator or digital prey. So, any company nowadays has to choose between being, a predator, a highly competitive, or just, vanish. This is one thing. And the CEO of Microsoft in 2015 said we have to move forward a new strategy. Either we have to be mobile and the cloud first. So this is why Microsoft is resilient, is making a good shape in the business world with the digitizations. So there is a strategy. There is, should be with the, as you mentioned, Industry 5. It should be. We have to rethink about the strategic models we have. Do we need really to follow the same traditional steps in scanning our environment? Do we need to follow like, you know, digital tools, or we need some characteristics of digital leadership style when we, you know, implement our strategy? I think there are a lot of certain implications on the strategic, you know, models we are following. Some changes in the scanning process, execution process, you know, controlling process, maintaining or sustaining, you know. So what are the implications in just a few words from your point of view?
Yeah, I think there is no doubt future is digital. Everything is moving to, you know, towards digital. And, you know, as I said, there are fundamentals, and it's a paradigm shift. It's not something, you know, like, as you said, a digital pray or digital period. I mean, you cannot sit and pray, you know, something will happen. No, you have to act on it. And you need to come up with, you know, the digital strategy in a sense that the way you operate your business, the way you monitor your customers from every aspect. So it's a fundamental paradigm shift when we talk about digital. And the reason being given is that you need to survive in a sense that, as other panelists are highlighting, that you need to have come up with a strategy, a digital strategy, which will enable you to face these challenges. So I would just mention that this is something, you know, companies need to think about it. It's not something which will go away. I mean, we are entering into a new era in which we really need digital in every aspect of the business.
So do you think, for example, agility is a solution?
Yes, agility is one aspect, your ability to quickly move and adapt. I think the digital maturity, I would say, the level of maturity is very critical. The organizations need to determine the level of their digital maturity, and the high level of maturity will actually enable you to have more agility in your operations.
Somebody says that it's a lizard model, lizard. So lizard is more, you know, adaptive to the environment. And this again goes back to the caveman, the most, you know, agile man. So, you know, are we really going back to, you know, in history to be, you know, to our roots? Or just we are, you know, moving forward? I don't know really. To be more flexible, more adaptive, more, what do you think?
We are moving forward, and indeed we move forward. There is significant improvement with the companies, the way, and the COVID actually gave a lot of opportunities for innovative business models, and many companies acted on it, and we are moving forward. So there is no doubt about it. There is a lot of progress, and there is also a lot of support from the government as well. So in that regard, so I think we are indeed moving forward.
All right.
And if you allow me,
yes, please. Yes.
On the digital, definitely we're moving forward. So there's no doubt about it. Alhamdulillah, there are a lot of doubtful people that, you know, don't trust technology a lot, but we're moving in the right direction, inshallah. But the more important part, I want to comment on the digital leader. It's not about the style of leadership as much as it is about, you know, there's the old saying that says, you know, you have to be stubborn on the vision, flexible on the execution. Nowadays, we have to be stubborn on the vision and flexible on the digital execution. It's really key. It's extremely important. The stubbornness is on the vision, because, and you need to be stubborn outward. This is where I see my organization. This is how I want to serve my customer. The way we do it, it needs to be adaptive. It needs to be agile. It needs to be flexible, because adopting digital in different models and different systems is extremely challenging. So, and you have to have a model where you react to your customer needs and your customer requirements, and change the technology and the digital tools and the implementation based on their requirements.
Mr. Jihad, I will just jump in because I really like what you've said now. But let me try to tease some thoughts here. And so what you're saying really sounds very interesting, intriguing. But for the sake of our audience, and how do you see the agile versus the fragile? Because maybe you heard about these terms, and really a nice few words from your side might be really useful to everyone here.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I mean, if you compare agility and fragility, or agile versus fragile, you're assuming that the vision was not set properly. Okay, so my personal take on this is, if you have the right vision, you don't need to worry about being fragile or not, because you're executing towards that vision. You only change in the execution and the methodology. Okay, and one should not fear to fail. Okay, if you're, I mean, there's this term of celebrating failure. Yes, I mean, we should celebrate mistakes, not failure, if I may. Okay, so when you're celebrating mistakes in the execution, because this is how we learn. Celebrating failure in the vision are dangerous. Okay, so I'd like to differentiate on this. So back to your question, agility and fragility, if you have your vision set properly, if you've done your homework in terms of putting the right strategy, you can always change your execution and be agile and not risk being fragile, if it makes sense.
All right, thank you very much, really, Mr. Jihad, for these clarifications. And back to Dr. Mona El Ali. Dr. Mona, how are you?
Hi, hi everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here with you and the students.
Yeah, it's an honor really to have you here today, and we really need your really feedback on the impact on women empowerment and leadership, the digital transformation. Is it really positive or negative from the woman point of view?
I think digital transformation is happening, either we like it or we don't. And for organization, they can adopt and be with that change, or they can decide not to be with that change, and that will have its own effect as well. So I think it will affect, sure, women work, but not only women. I think it will affect both gender, but I'm here today to talk about, I think, women. And because as Badri manager, we actually have a direct contact with a lot of women, especially entrepreneurs and people who would want to develop themselves professionally. So because of that change, job opportunities for women is going to actually shift because of artificial intelligence, as work employment for women might be vulnerable because of digitalization and robotics and automation, and which might eventually replacing already existing job. There is actually an interesting research according to McKinsey Global Institute says that 20% of women employment today can be replaced in 2030, and 21 of men jobs might be replaced in the same time period. And most of these jobs might be customer service and clerical jobs. I still remember back in the days in the 90s and 80s, when we wanted to when I wanted like a supermarket number or maybe a telephone number, maybe if some of the relatives I don't have, we actually used to call Itisalat to ask about the number. And then we had someone to pick up the phone and tell us what's the number of the supermarket or the business. This doesn't exist, and I'm sure a lot of maybe students here did not wouldn't recognize this. And also when I was in Sharjah and I get lost, there was a number you would call and then you will ask for direction. This doesn't exist anymore. So a lot of changes is happening, and because of technology change is very, I think that it's become in high speed. And the challenge number 2 I wanted to talk about today is actually we don't have a lot of women working in STEAM areas. So if we talk about science, technology, and all of the STEAM areas, not so many women, especially in the Middle East, work in that area. And I think it's a global issue. And the interesting part is there is a lot of women in school graduating in science and technology and STEM area. However, they don't really continue in these jobs. So there is a study by UNESCO saying that 34 to 57% of STEM graduates in Arab countries compared to figures across United States and Europe. So we need to ask ourselves why they are not in the job market and why they don't come to work in STEM area or technology and these areas as well. And I think that is because of some maybe cultural, social, family pressure, and not seeing themselves in that scope of work. For example, when I wanted to decide where I want to work in my generation back then, you are expected to be a teacher. That's it. You don't have a choice because that is the safest place to be in the job market. But now we have so much variety, and I think government is supporting that. And this is not in the case in the United Arab Emirates. I think they are pushing forward for women to go into STEAM area, and we cannot when we talk about STEAM and technology now, it cannot skip in our mind the mission to Mars, where we have Her Excellency Sarah Al-Amiri, Minister of State of Advanced Science. And that it was a milestone for, I think, women in UAE and the Arab region, if it's not in the world, where 40% of her team actually working in Mars mission, and 90% of the science team actually are women in Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. And this, we're very proud to talk about this as well. And hopefully more women start to rethink about their job or businesses in terms of technology as well. And this is what we do in Badri. We try to encourage them to, okay, if you like some type of businesses like R&B or fashion, but you need to have some innovative way to do it, and how you can use technology to advance your career or your business as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, if I may follow this question with another question to Dr. Mona, because actually you started very interesting points about the challenges that women are currently facing, and with the digital era, the digital leadership at the crossroad. So I want to tease your thoughts here about the issue of gender equality. We have seen many women actually demonstrated outstanding leadership skills that place them at the top of organizations, political achievements, you name it. However, still some advocates are calling for quotas, if you know what I mean. So, which means that, let's say women must have such percentage. How do you see, what are your thoughts about this? Do you, and how this would fit into, well, are we setting rules in the form of quotas, or it is actually better to have equal opportunity and everyone would have the chance to fit wherever their skills and their competencies fit? What's your thoughts on this, Dr. Mona?
Of course, I think we need to have a better equitable world for women, where if there is an opportunity or a job or maybe a position, we measure people based on their skills and knowledge and qualification, and not based on their gender. And this is what we try to do, not only in Badri Academy, but also at Nema Women Establishment, which is an organization that supports women to develop their capabilities and develop their skills. So whenever they have a potential opportunity, either as a business, as in a business or workplace, they are able actually to compete with without actually highlighting the gender. I think in United Arab Emirates, we are very blessed, and we are very, as women, I'm very blessed and proud that I've been living in this country that support women, not only by giving them the opportunity, but also trying to give the best education, because I think education is the main foundation of any developed country. And when UAE started as a country, they actually supported women education either by public schools, by universities, encouraging families, because that was taboos in the 80s, sorry, in the even earlier, like 60s, 70s, women are not supposed, and before the United, women weren't expected to get education, but now everyone, if you are not getting education in here, it is actually something odd. So women, most of the, for example, my colleagues are women, and most of them have actually their bachelor degrees, they have their master degrees. We're blessed. For me, personally, I got my scholarship to do my master degree in New Zealand. It's the end of the world. And also my PhD in United Kingdom. So, and it's all fully sponsored by the government. And now it's our turn to give back to this country, I think. And not look, and we should look beyond the gender, I think, and we need to focus on skills and knowledge and capabilities and how much this person can give to the current position or business opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mona, for the feedback. And, you know, as we see now, you know, the vast majority of our, you know, attendants here are, you know, I think ladies. So I see, you know, most of the names, you know, ladies. And, you know, our dean is an example for women, you know, empowerment and leadership. So we are blessed, really. And also I have two daughters, I have to secure their future. So we're really talking about not half or quota as, you know, Dr. Salama, but I see this is it should be more than that, you know, maybe 75%, because this is the real numbers in the world, you know, right now. Women's, you know, maybe double the number of men. You know, this by statistics. So opportunities should be, you know, fairly distributed. So I see Dr. Jihad raised his hand.
Jihad, Miss Doctor, I wish, inshallah. But yes, so I just want to make one more comment. So in the UAE, we don't have this problem of gender diversity. So whether it's digital or not, I hope it will be to the benefit of you know, both gender, if I may. But gender diversity is not a concern, because I mean, in the public sector, for instance, 66% of workers are female. Okay, and the number to track is not the diversity and how many are in the workforce. It's how many are in the leadership, like you pointed out. So Dr. Dima is leading, mashallah, the department or the school. 30% are in leadership position in government. This is the number I think that we should track. And with the improvement of technology, with the introduction of transformation and digital, this will render gender bias less obvious and less evident, hopefully.
Thank you, by the way, for the comments. And my question about the quota was because actually this issue of quotas came from people who claimed they are advocating the women's rights, when I believe that they are actually not doing women a favor. Because if they said, like, say, well, we must have 30% of politicians females, or 30% of academics females, but what if actually they deserve to be 50% or 60%? So that's why I think Dr. Mona answered this very well. Thank you very much. And I see the comments here in the chat box, very, very supportive of your thoughts. So thanks for this. And I believe...
Dr. Mohammed, can I say something?
Sure, Dr. Saeed,
just
come on, please.
Contribute from the...
Yes, please.
Just want to share with you quickly the research on this women leadership. Especially during the COVID-19, you know, there are papers published in which the female leaders perform better than the male counterparts in crisis management. Oh, so this is published in different countries, the study. So that's why I thought I should just also mention this. There is a study in US, the governors of US states, those who are female, they responded better for COVID crisis. There is a study published in Harvard Business Review, 60,000 leaders, assessment of 60,000 leaders, the sample size. They studied and they find on various characteristics, leadership characteristics, the female leaders performing better than male leaders. This is just, I wanted to share that with you.
So that's only in crisis. In regular situation, how is it?
It's also outside the crisis as well. So don't worry about the crisis.
Yeah.
But did they mention the reasons behind this? For example, is it to do with emotional intelligence? Is it to do with
the biggest reason? Empathy.
Empathy. Okay.
All right. So
empathy.
So they are more empathetic. Yeah. So
empathetic. Resilience, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They have the stamina. They have the, you know, the inner power. All right. Yes. And, you know, back to Mr. SAEED AlSuwaidi, we are talking about the new generation now. We are talking about generation was born with the, you know, iPhone, okay? And by statistics, we see that new generation or many children being born today, they may never need to apply for a license because you know, there will not be a license, okay? The autonomous car, no license, the car that can run by itself. What do you see now for, you know, all organizations in businesses nowadays, you know, shall do to acquire these, you know, mental sets or new mindsets from your point of view?
Well, honestly speaking, you know, nowadays, I believe the new generation can take and lead the new era to the new way faster than what we are expecting nowadays. So which really, we cannot, whenever we see them, that, as you said, that they're born with the technology, but we wake up with something which we think that we did something faster and good to our community, but we found our kids has a solution maybe 10 times faster than what we think about. So this is things really we have to understand how they are thinking and what they are looking for. Yes, the difference between the generation, that we cannot say anything unless we learn their need, learn their way of technology. As you said, they will not need a license. They are very expert on driving online with so many cars or so many things that which it's already give them the experience before they have gone to the real world. So things of the new generation, we have to adopt the real or the right, feeding them the right way of technology. We should, even though teach them which one is the right, which one is not the right for you, because the solution available online, it is dangerous. Some of them which we have to control it. That this is really something which we have to be in a way that as a parents, we have to understand their need. We have to guide them to the right way. We shouldn't be more strict to their need, because we cannot control the net, where I believe all of us, we are finding it difficult to control them. But I'm sure that the new generation will have a lovely things which makes our life more easy than what we are expecting today.
So may I make a comment here
please.
on Dr. and on Mr. AlSuwaidi? I just recall when I stand in front of my students and when I tell them my story, that I had my first degree, my bachelor in engineering, without computers, without word processing. There were no mobile phones. They look at, there was no internet, obviously. They look at me like the caveman. And I couldn't stop laughing when I listened to their comments. So I believe we need, because this is actually a very interesting time. It is the interaction between generations with so much variation in the experiences. If leaders, if I call us now in our age bracket that we should be leaders, do not embrace the mindset, the right mindset to see things to one of the very interesting terms that were identified today were the needs of the new generation, the perception of the new generation. And that's why maybe Dr. Mona's right when she said how women are excelling, because women are actually, maybe they are richer in the empathy, as Dr. Saeed stated. But as leaders in general, they need to embrace this mindset, understanding of the perception of the new generation. And I believe that nowadays, when we look even at a personal level, when we look at our own children, in our generation, if you don't go to medicine, engineering, perhaps law in some countries, then forget it. Okay. Anyway, that's effort lost. But now look at, everyone is looking at branches like computer science, artificial intelligence, entrepreneurs, innovation. It is a different era and needs a different mindset. So I'll pass on to you, Dr. Jamal, to carry on with our...
I make a comment, Dr. Salama, on your point, if you allow me.
Sure.
Just a quick comment. I think what you said is very accurate. I'll just have a small nuance. So yes, leaders need to adjust to change, but it's mostly the faster pace of change that they need to adapt to. It's not only change itself, because throughout history, we always knew change was the only constant, right? However, now, I mean, you're referring to an era which is 25 to 30 years ago, right? When we started seeing internet and things. Yeah. But however, you're not that old. However, in the most recent days, in the last 10 years, we've seen a change that's faster than the last 20 years. In the last 5 years, we've seen even faster change. So if I leave, I mean, either the students or us with a piece of advice, it's not only accepting change, it's accepting the fast pace of change. That's really, I mean, it's closer to turbulence, you know, and when you're flying and there is, you know, air in the air and the flight, it's more of turbulence than it is change. So it's really managing in turbulent time than in, you know, regular change.
Doctor, maybe just to add on that, we have to be always understanding their need, and then we have to adapt, which we have to be always response faster to their need. This is very important.
Yeah, may I comment on this statement, to be faster in, you know, in terms of your responsiveness. The story of, for example, Netflix. Netflix was just, you know, sending DVD by mail, okay, in 2012. And then they just, you know, find out the you know, internet, okay? So they changed it very fast to be streamlined. So from just sending DVD by mail to streamline videos and audios and stories and also do all kind of, you know, production. Now they are #1. The third of internet users, okay, in USA using Netflix. I'm not talking about, you know, I'm talking about USA, okay? So Netflix is an example of, you know, being, you know, very fast in this kind of digital revolution. Another example is maybe Apple. Apple, you know, using Ipod was #1 hit, and they were very happy, you know, making a lot of money out of this. Suddenly they found mobile called Nokia. Okay, so what is the relation between the Ipod and Nokia? So Steve Jobs said, okay, mobile Nokia can download songs. So it's a threat, a potential threat to the Ipod. So we have to make mobile phones. And they started and they made it and they demolished Nokia. You see, the response was very quick. So these are two stories in my mind about how to respond very quick to any kind of, you know, disturbance and use it as a threat or as an opportunity.
Thanks, Dr. Jamal, for this. That's really interesting. This will actually lead us to one of the questions that actually were in my mind. And here I'm opening this to all our panelists, but I can see Dr. Muyassar is raised his hand. So would you like to say something before I pose the question? Please go ahead. You're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to contribute. First of all, I just very happy for the elites of leaders. Actually, they joined us in this really great symposium. There is some comments regarding what you discussed earlier. So as Dr. Saeed said, so of course there is important infrastructure that actually facilitate the implementation of digital leadership. So for example, industry 5.0 or even is not enough actually. There is also another component which is society 5.0. Because when we talk about smart organization is not enough, because we need also the wider society. For example, when we talk about internet service is not something that actually producing by the government, by the organization themselves. They actually need for some outsourcing or provider, which is coming from the society. So the society, the infrastructure is actually should actually compatible with the smart, that means smart society with the smart organization. In terms of the adaptability, so of course it's also we witness that actually it's actually vary between generations. So for example, baby boomers, which is us, the people who actually very close to 60 to 75, let's see. So those people struggling with technology when we compare them with the Y generation, which is our students. So this one, the adaptability for the youngest is actually much better in terms of, for example, coping with digital leadership. And this is actually what I just
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. And yes, I would definitely say it's the entire ecosystem. And I think we mentioned in our panelists in the previous comments, all starts by education. We need to make sure that it starts by education. And I agree that in some countries, and I have seen this firsthand, when they started going for like smart payments and paying salaries over bank transfers, people were given credit cards or debit cards, and they weren't able to use it, and they would be queuing in front of the the ATMs, and some volunteer would be taking the password of every one of them, entering it to get the money out and give it them in hand. And when I asked one of them, why are you giving the password to a stranger? They said, what can they do? I'm just taking in all the balance. So if they know it, and I do it every month to get my salary out. So that is the ecosystem. And this will actually lead us to the discussion about innovation. And because I think digital transformation has been related in some people's mindset that it is very much about innovation. And then when we talk about innovation, people think innovation is about disruption. Whereas maybe innovation is not necessarily the disruptive type of innovation. So I would like to hear from our panelists about innovation, incremental innovation versus disruptive innovation, process innovation versus product innovation in our digital transformation and leadership context. Mr. Jihadi, would you like to start?
Yes, sure, I'll be glad to. Yeah. So, I mean, luckily we live in a world where we have all of the above. We have incremental innovation, we have, disruptive, and we need everything. And I give an example. Thomas Edison would not have invented the light bulb if he used incremental innovation. He would have kept adding more candles, but bigger candles without the need of oil. So here we needed, sometimes you need disruptive innovation to change, to have a paradigm shift. However, in most of the cases and in most of the situation we see, it's really the requirement and the need is incremental change that people can cope and adapt with. Okay, and let me give you an example of what we're doing with the Sharjah City Municipality on the parking side. So what we do, the way we offer our service is on a consultative selling approach. So we don't have boxes that we want to sell or move or or innovation that we want to. What we do is we sit with our customer. So you touch on the process and understand their pain points and try to understand their concern. What is it that is pressing in their business model? What is it that is challenging them? So obviously in Sharjah, it's the parking situation and the traffic situation, right? So that's very clear. So what we did is that we did kind of a whiteboard workshop with them, looked at option, looked at potential, and proposed a smart parking solution. We did a proof of concept. We looked at the technologies available. We did a pilot, and now we're in discussion to see how we have a discussion on rolling it out. The point is, from an innovation perspective, silicon is more and more available. You mentioned that you did not have a phone. I mean, but you should be lucky now. In your pocket, you have a mobile phone that is more powerful than the people who went to the moon, right? The first trip. So silicon is more available. Compute is more available. Broadband is more available. Storage is more available. So all those together are allowing us to tackle problems and to solve problems that we were not able to solve using technology. We were solving them in a different way. So the approach is to utilize whatever is available from the technology and to adapt it to either processes, to adapt it to technology, to adapt it to people, to systems, and improve the way people interact and offer services.
All right, we would like to open the floor for our participants to write their questions, and we try our best to answer all of them. So if you have a question, please use the chat box. And this, also Mr. Jihad will may guide us to the maturity model of the digital revolution or the digital transformation. So back to you. Do we need really a maturity model? Do you think any organization can say I am 100% digital? Maybe it's just an maybe they have a very simple IT department to do everything, and cultural wise, leadership wise, nobody is aware about this. So back to you, Mr. Jihad, back to you, Dr. Saeed, back to you, Mr. Saeed, back to you, Dr. Mona. So please.
If you allow me, I mean, leaders should be tracking customer satisfaction more than digital, readiness. Digital readiness, again, is a tool. If their customer is satisfied, it's more than enough. We should think of digital as a tools to means to an end, not as the end goal. You should not be 100% digital ready and celebrate this. This is not the celebration. The celebration is at the customer side. Having said this, it's a journey to manage. Obviously, you need to manage this. You need to be there. You need to transform, but you cannot reach. And like Sheikh Muhammad said, Muhammad bin Rashid, it's a journey, but there's no end. It's a continuous journey. It's a continuous race, because you're gonna keep changing and technology is gonna keep improving, and you'll have new digital tools all the time. So it's a mindset shift more than a technology implementation.
All right.
I totally agree with Mr. Jihad. If you allow me to comment, please.
Yes.
I think you need to make your customer or your partners ready for that transformation. I always like to give examples, and I would like to talk about Badri as an academy. We used to have an online academy, which Badri E-Academy. However, we did a lot of things in person for people to come and join the courses. So when we had all our programs, workshops ready for the whole year in 2020. And when Corona happened, we actually felt a shock because we couldn't deliver. But within 2 weeks, we got higher management approval to shift everything online. At the same time, we had to make our audience ready by explaining to them how we moved our workshops and events online, and we taught them how they can be with us through whether Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and it was a smooth transition. And it was for us an opportunity for Badri Academy, because we started getting people from not only in Sharjah, but around UAE and the world and the Gulf region. So we exceeded the space limitation and time limitation. And we never thought of doing this before. If we did not have this crisis happening. And the most important things, I think, there is also related to learning and education. I think the most content being created through education and learning, it was in 2020, 2021, lot of universities like Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, they offered all their courses for free for a period of time. LinkedIn, Google, a lot of things being provided for people for free. So it was a boom in education and learning, and it was an opportunity not only for women, but I think for everyone to adapt. And then even when they did not have the time or travel to these countries, they could have had that chance for free on their home based on their convenience.
Right. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, please.
Can I have a quick question for Dr. Mona, and then a very quick question for Mr. Al-Suwaidi. Dr. Mona, from your own experience and with your background and achievements, what do you think the most critical challenges that are facing women amid this digital transformation, particularly in our region? And I believe that yes, we can say a lot about, or we can talk a lot about the achievements, but I believe that still there are challenges, particularly for those who want to become entrepreneurs and startups. And what would you say about this?
I think the challenge mainly for women is always the mindset, the doubts they have. Some of them have the society is putting them in a specific role. She need to multitask. She need to be a wonderful woman, a great mother, a great sister, a great worker. So the life balance can be very challenging, can be very stressful, I think, and handling a lot of tasks and doubting themselves. Am I good enough to do this as women? What the society would say? Will my father, brother, family support me? And these kind of things, I think they required a lot of time, and they need to be assured, I think, that they can do what they want to do. And then having a conversation with family, trying to see what potential she have. I think we can overcome all these challenging, but I think the big challenge that face women is within herself, unfortunately. It's not the society or everything. So I think this is very important to address as being someone who in great contact with the entrepreneurs and women in particular. For example, the other day I was talking with my sister. She's in her late 40s, and she was saying they're being adopted in her workplace. They're adopting a new software, and she finds it very difficult. She said, "I feel that I am Microsoft 2000 and they want to upload a new software for me. I cannot do this." I told her, "Why you cannot do this? Is it difficult for you to learn?" And she said, "Yes, I can learn," but she doesn't have that confidence within herself to say that I can learn something new and be good in it.
Thank you very much for your insightful thoughts. And that's really, I think I can see the comments in the chat box. They are all supportive. They are really impressed by all your wonderful thoughts, and we really appreciate you sharing with us. My question to Mr. Al-Suwaidi, actually, I'm reflecting on one of the questions from our attendees in the chat box. Says, how would you encourage creative thinking in your organization as a leader? And I will add a part of a question from my side as well. Does the digital leader need to be savvy, in technology savvy? What would your thoughts be on that, Mr. Al-Suwaidi, please?
Well, you know, maybe I can say in my life, I witnessed so many leaders which can still having an issues with their digital transformation. Maybe my what I did as in college, I did a digital and I did a computer literature. So for me, it is easy to help and adapt my thinking of technology in my organization. But if I'm talking about other other leaders, which one of my clients who has a retail shop, for examples, where he has issues to transfer to digital. He has so many branches around countries, and he has facing a lot of problem that most of his product, which is lying on the stores, that so many people is not like before coming to his store and buying. So I suggest him, why don't you go to online? Why don't you build your digital e-commerce store? So he said, I have no ideas about e-commerce. I have no ideas how to transfer a digital of my organization. I said, you don't need to have all these things on you. So maybe your employees, your managers, we can teach them, we can guide them to adapt all those technologies to you, where it can help you to reach your target on improving your sales. I believe if he was saying no, I'm sure he's still in disaster. I give him a suggestion that today you have more than 10 showrooms. I can suggest you 5 showrooms plus your e-commerce store could help you to raise and boom your sales. And he was, to be honest, listening to me. And alhamdulillah, we achieved the goal. And he is more than happy nowadays. His store, which the product was lying, nowadays already most of them sold out due to his acceptance and his agree of that could help him, because he see the market, he see everything has been changed within a short time. So yes, we have to be very productive. We have to be very open-minded to see which one is going to be right to our organization.
So it's more about the vision rather than the skills of the manager per se, because if the manager has the right vision, he may be able to employ and encourage people to deliver this vision with the right set of skills.
This is one of the things that even sometimes our clients asking us to help them to select and appoint the right person to help them where he can control and follow up their new digital transformation.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much. There is one question, and I'm aware of the time, so let's hope that would be, and I'm using the chat box from Nawaf, and maybe Dr. Saeed would like to reflect on this. Nawaf says, what would be the main criteria and the success factors of the impact? Well, it says, we means the impact of innovation on organizational success. I see this more of an academic question, so maybe Dr. Saeed can reflect on this. We'll appreciate your thoughts, Dr. Saeed.
Yes, I think there is a very positive impact in the sense that the innovation is actually playing a critical role. I can share with you like certain examples of innovation in which happened particularly during the COVID-19. Some examples, like for example, Alibaba, everybody knows the e-commerce giant. They developed something on artificial intelligence-based technology for scanning, for CT scan and detecting the COVID-19 disease with the CT scan. So they developed that technology. SpaceX, I think everybody aware of SpaceX, based on their rocket engineering expertise. They have developed, for example, the 3D technology and face shield for the health workers. So this is about innovation. Many companies are becoming more innovative, and in fact, that really have a very positive impact, on the performance of the organizations and also within the organization in terms of basically, you need to have a digital congruence. The congruence means that you need to align your processes, your culture, your structure. So all these things come along, in order to be successful. So that will be my comment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Syed. And I really like what you've been saying about the congruency and the alignment between the process and the product innovation. Because yes, we know about there are the disruptive innovation examples of what's related to the shared or sharing economy, which is, I think, becoming a model now and being projected to different sectors, but also equally the innovation in the process. So we are doing what we used to do in the past in a very innovative way, and that is innovation in itself. So innovation does not mean a disruptive innovation. It can also be the incremental and the process oriented. I'm aware of the time, and we really want to see more questions from the floor. Until this happens, I would just try to summarize the takeaways from what we have been listening to today, and then pass on to Dr. Jamal, and then Professor Jamal, and then Professor Dima to close the session. We started actually with a wonderful keynote speakers, not to mention that all our speakers today were more than wonderful. Very insightful thoughts, despite maybe contentious in some aspects of it, but still very insightful thoughts, intriguing, teasing thoughts about the vulnerability aspects that leaders should have. Looking at you are as a leader as strong as your weakest link. And this is really important to understand, because we see examples in life where sometimes leaders seem to be intentionally bringing weaker individuals to their team for no obvious reason. Maybe they can only be able to explain that. But if they really know that any team is as strong as their weakest link, I think that would be the potential in the younger generation. And having leaders have to accept and understand and adopt, and also respect that, you know, the younger generation is very different. When my younger boy, for example, told me, I want to study entrepreneurship, I believe if I said the same thing to my dad 35 or 38 years ago, I'm not sure if I have stayed at home one more day. So, but with an entrepreneurship, I thought, well, yes, why not? And, you know, I started searching with him for the best college or university in Canada, that's where he can attend that. And, you know, and now he's, thank goodness, 25 years old, you know, doing very well. And my own friends, they are telling me, you're so patient, you're so cool. No, I don't believe I am that patient and that cool. I believe that I forced myself to embrace a mindset of this generation in order to communicate well with, because at the end of the day, these are our children. And I believe the same can be the case with our team members. Protecting the preparedness, the anticipation of the leader, which is part of the vision, and this was mentioned by our keynote speakers during the morning. Protecting the mental health is very important, because we understand that sometimes things can turn to be very stressful. Change is usually associated with resistance to change, and leaders have to embrace the idea of how to manage change gradually, effectively, and embrace the differences. I really liked very much what has been said this morning about mental health and faith. And, you know, in this area, in this region, maybe we have certain perception of faith, but I believe that regardless the location, faith plays a very important role. Even those who believe in, you know, whichever brings calmness to the soul, it is really important. And that was a very, very interesting point. The culture of the team, as a leader, choosing the team members that deliver the vision. And I like what has been said today about being stubborn on the vision and flexible on the implementation. Stubborn on the vision. Part of this stubbornness is selecting the right people who can deliver your vision as a leader, because it doesn't make sense you know, there is a leader, and the leader should be a leader, and people should respect the leadership and should work within this leadership. But also the leader has the right to be to select who would fit within there. I liked very much the comment said this morning about the paranoid culture. And this was one of those, you know, I would say, I must say, I had to like it took me like few seconds to grasp the term, which is, it's not the first time to hear it, but I would like to say that throughout the day, we saw actually the balance. People were calling for the balance, because of course, being paranoid about achievement and very much focused can lead to burnout, job burnout, as we say, and people can lead to stress and higher level. And as a leader, obviously, no one would like to see their team members stressed out to you know, to unhealthy or levels beyond what they can, and this would have definitely our colleagues from HR management, they would tell stories about the theories written about that. People who think alike, dedication of employees were some of the tools some of the topics that were said today. Again, when we started our panel, we heard very interesting points about technology is not enough. So Teams and Zoom, reducing digital leadership to technology is not enough. And we heard some very insightful thoughts from our panelists. And of course, I don't want to name every one of them because they were all our stars today, about the role of women and the challenges, the technology, the implementation, the leadership, and how innovation. We heard some interesting academic findings of research. So I hope you enjoyed this day and this symposium as much as I did. And we really want to say thank you to everyone. I'll pass to Dr. Jamal for a thank you note, and then Professor Dima to close out the session. Thank you very much.
We really thank you very much, everybody, for this you know, inspiring discussions. We discussed many factors related to innovation itself, related to leadership, related to women in leadership, and you know, digitization. And we came to the fact that digital transformation is a fact, and we cannot, you know, avoid, we have to face. So, you know, even technology may disrupt itself. For example, robots will replace about 50% of human jobs by 2030. And 3D printing is replacing robots. So you can do everything, you know, at home. You can manufacture anything at home. So there is, you know, disturbance, technology to technology. So what about us? This is an open question, maybe for our next, you know, symposium in 2022 about innovation and other relationships in the future. Thank you very much. His, you know, Excellency, to Mr. SAEED السويدي, Her Excellency Dr. Mona El Ali, Dr. Sayed Tibu, and His Excellency Mr. Jihad Tayyara. And the floor is yours, our Professor, the Dean, Professor Dima Jamali.
I just want to say thank you for an amazing day. Really, it was a very inspirational. We all learned. I think our students enjoyed. I can see in the chat the positive comments. And I want to thank my colleagues and our staff at the college, because they are the ones who really made this event possible. And I hope to see the College of Business organizing many more of these symposia, because this is the forum for these discussions on cutting edge and contemporary topics. This is what the college should be doing. It should be leading the conversation and facilitating the exchange. Last but not least, I want to thank our advisory board members, who are serving on this panel and who are always ready and they step in, they help wholeheartedly, they support our college, and we continue to rely on you. We will continue to rely on you. And thank you so much for our students, because not only were they very engaged and interactive throughout the day, but also they're so positive and so supportive, and they were so respectful and so collaborative. So I'm proud of our students and the way they engaged maturely and responsibly with us today. Thank you all. I wish you an amazing afternoon, and I hope we will all stay in touch with more events of this nature that will serve the College of Business and its community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
مع السلامة.
Thank you.